All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down the 3M Open. Starting the video out with some prop line differences that we're getting between PrizePicks and Underdog. They're substantial. Then from there, we're going to go ahead and get into which bets I'm going to be looking at for my outright bets, as well as first round leader picks. Then we're going to be jumping on into some 3-ball bets and then also some head-to-head bets as well. So with that, let's go ahead and get into this video. So yes, I mentioned we're getting a lot of big prop line differences between PrizePicks and Underdog. This will also apply to sites like betr, Pick6, and then Sleeper as well. I want to start with Kurt Kitayama here, where we are seeing his stroke line is at 69 on PrizePicks, 68 on Underdog. This is a bet that I think is going to end up being a pretty good bet for the under on PrizePicks. And so this is a bet where, sure, maybe not the biggest edge, but I would say, like, in general, at 69, this one has a good chance to end up being a push. I think there's a good chance that he at least gets to 2 under par. And so that ends up being a bet that I like a decent amount. And so from there, we are seeing some prop line differences where maybe we would like the over bet a little bit more on Underdog. Okay, so looking at guys, Chris Goddard for over 4.5 birdies or better on Underdog is going to be a bet that I like. Now, I will say in some situations, we are seeing that some of these bets are going to be bets in which Underdog is valuing as a high likelihood to occur here. So like 4.5 birdies or better for Chris Goddard is only going to pay out 0.8x. I keep that in mind when we're going through these, because in situations like Kurt Kitayama, this could actually end up being a good lower bet as well on Underdog, because they're actually going to pay out a little bit more. And so if we're already betting on him to, get to 69 strokes, if he gets under that, it's obviously going to be 68. So maybe that's a spot that you actually do like, and we could end up betting the under. The point is, he probably should be in the group of golfers that are at 68.5 strokes. Okay, it's very interesting line there. But again, these are some of the bets where you can get to on Pick6 as well, where they're actually paying some of those bets still as standard bets compared to PrizePicks or Underdog. You could also do that on something like betr. And so the Kurt Kitayama bet, though, is going to be kind of my favorite bet on PrizePicks. And I think we're going to be mostly talking about PrizePicks. I think that's where we are getting the biggest spots or the best edges, I would say, in general. Another one where we could get to where, again, just because of the payouts, like, difference, I want to be targeting, I think, more bets on PrizePicks a little bit more so. So I'm looking at some of these bets where we got maybe fairways hit for McNeely, even though we're being told to potentially bet the under. Again, this could end up being a spot where you bet the bet the under on Underdog at 9.5. But I think it's worth calling out that at 9 on PrizePicks, probably going to end up being a push. He is basically, he's projected to get 8.82, so don't necessarily love that too much. But again, given the prop line differences that we are getting, I think we could end up there as well. Any other spots, we are getting enough spots. Like, for example, Sam Burns with his greens and regulation, I actually like the over a little bit, but again, he's projected to get 12.96. So another chance for that to end up being a push. So let's just go ahead and search by like where we're getting the biggest edges. And so while we do that, I'm just going to show you guys on the PrizePicks optimizer. It's a little bit more easy to display some of the bets. So we got Joel Damon to get over 4 birdies or better. This is another spot where it probably is just going to end up being a push, okay? 4.5 birdies or better is kind of the average at this tournament. He is someone that, sure, his game has been very spotty. He does have a new caddy on the bag. Whether that ends up being a good thing or a bad thing, that's TBD. For what it's worth as well, I did see something where Webb Simpson has his old caddy back Paul Tesori on the bag. So, for what that's worth, wanted to call that out to you guys there as well. But jumping back into it, Maverick McNeely, again, It does like the under 5 birdies better. This is one of those things where, yes, getting to 6 birdies or better is going to end up being something that is difficult to do, typically speaking. There are lots of birdies out there, but there are some minor hedges in play as well. I get it. I guess I'd be okay with that one, but only 52% likely. Same thing with Taylor Pendrith. Keith Mitchell's an interesting over 4.5 birdies or better. He's someone that we expect to score. But then we get into someone like Kevin Yu. Kevin Yu, guys, I actually think, we expect him to score, right? The issue with someone like him is the worries that he's going to get himself into trouble occasionally. Maybe he's not making putts. Same thing with Alex Smalley. I think I like him to get over 4.5 birdies or better. We're not getting massive edges here, but at the same time, we're getting good enough spots in general. So those are going to be bets that I think we can get to. And so let's go ahead and just get into a simple bet slip that we can run out, guys, for round 1. I think it's an easy one. Joel Damon over 4 birdies or better. Kevin Yu and Alex Smalley over 4.5 birdies or better. And then Kurt Kitayama under 69 for strokes. Now, the issue with this is the payout is going to be slightly reduced. And you guys can see we're not getting a massive edge per the data, but that's kind of how it goes with PGA prop bets, typically speaking. So from there, let's go ahead and get into who I am betting on for my first round leader bets. You guys can see that in the 9 to 5 write-up that comes out each and every week. That typically comes out Tuesday evening. If you guys are someone that's a 9 to 5 member, you guys will get full access to the write-up. If you guys are not a 9 to 5 member, you get access up to the core plays, okay, typically speaking. So after that, it's going to be members, so you guys can get all the betting picks. That's why I have it set that way as well, because while betting, we're all trying to help each other, whereas DFS, it's a little bit different. So let's kind of show you guys how I got there. So for bet types, we're obviously just looking at first round leader bets, and then we also are just going to be looking at early tee times. Typically speaking, I'm just betting on early tee times. We can just sort it by, let's just go with like DraftKings, FanDuel, PointsBet, whatever, the more popular bets here. And so from there, guys, I want to sort by edge. So where we're getting the biggest edge with some of those early golfers. So Taylor Pendrith, Maverick McNeely, Siwoo Kim, Kevin Yu. That's where we're getting some of our bigger edges. Kurt Kayama, Max Grayson. So a lot of golfers, at least that we're going to be betting on for first round leader purposes, we are getting some edges on. So we want to be starting with that. If you want to chase more longer odds, obviously begin to Ricky and Smalley at about 66 to 1, 60 to 1. This is highlighting obviously the best odds that we're getting. Let's just go ahead and switch it to dark mode. I know a lot of people like that a little bit more. But Kevin Yu, I also like as a long shot bet at 60 to 1 on most of the sites. We can get there. Siwoo Kim, that's one where I was hesitant to get to, but if you guys like that one, you can. But the two easy ones are obviously going to be Taylor Pendrith at 45 to 1 and Maverick McNeely at 35 to 1. Overall, they rank out pretty darn well just in general. Fifth in the Taylor Pendrith is going to be fifth in the 9 to 5 model as a whole. And then for the first round leader bets, he's the third most likely. So we like that there. Again, we're targeting the early ones. Then from there, we look at someone like Maverick McNeely. Again, that's a little bit of an edge for us. He's one of the highest projected plays on the slate just in general. I love the fact that we can get him at 35 to 1. That feels like pretty darn good odds there as well. And then, yes, I do like the odds that we're getting on Kevin, you guys, at about 60 to 1. That's pretty darn crazy for a golfer that tends to be a scorer. Maybe we don't trust him to win necessarily, but I think a route that we can go then with him is for him to get the first round lead, kind of like we had last week with Matt Fitzpatrick. So from there, we're going to go ahead and jump on into the outright bets that we are getting for this tournament. Now, it is worth calling out that we are not getting any good outright bets. Okay, so that should speak volumes really to the amount of randomness that we could end up seeing this week. In the write-up and throughout this week, I've mentioned that my concerns about this week from a betting side is that there are so many golfers that we could make the case are good bets, especially considering some of the odds that we are getting on them. Especially considering the fact that we are not getting any good outright bets. Now, that being said, data-wise, we do tend to see that when we have no good outright bets, that does lead to the tournament being more random. And so I'm going to show you guys which golfers are considered possible outright bets and which golfers I'm going with in that regard. And so again, we're just going to go ahead and just jump into outright bets. And then we're actually going to jump into the outright bet tag. So if you're looking at just outrights, guys, we would have just outright here listed, but no, we're not getting that. So we're getting possible outright bets. We're going to take off the early here. We're just taking a peek at it. So we can sort by edge again. And so we are getting about a 3% edge with Sam Burns, about 2% edge there with Maverick McNeely. And I do think that those are the golfers that we should be starting out our betting cards with this week, guys. Sam Burns is someone that, sure, he was disappointing with his loss earlier on this year for us, where he nearly won and kind of choked it away. But he is someone that in his last two starts as well, a little bit disappointing, only top 50 finishes. Maybe those courses weren't good for him, but I do like the fact that we can get him at 80 to 1. And then from there, we do have Maverick McNeely as about a 2% edge for us as well. He's a golfer that's coming in, checking all the boxes. You can get him at about 20 to 1 on some of the sites, which obviously is a pretty darn good number for a golfer that looks that good. Now, from there, in terms of edges, the only other golfer where we're getting a positive edge is going to be Taylor Pendrith at 33 to 1 on BetMGM, FanDuel, PointsBet, sites like that. Okay, so that's, where that cutoff happens. So then if we just kind of look at how they overall rank in terms of which golfers are going to be good out or possible outright bets, Wyndham Clark is someone that then stands out. It would not be shocking to see someone like Wyndham Clark win this week. I don't think anyone would truly be shocked by that. We are seeing we have one site, Betfair. If you guys are someone that has access to that, 33 to 1. The rest of them are going to be 25 to 1. Okay, so it is worth calling out. If you guys want to get to him, you can. I am. And then the rest of the golfers are going to be golfers where I would be fine getting to, but at the same time would feel like we're potentially forcing it. So let's just go ahead and take a peek at some other golfers I am considering. So Andrew Putnam was someone earlier on in the week I told you guys I was going to begin to as a more longer shot bet. He was someone I liked as a core play as well. And it's pretty simple. You can still get about 75 to 1 on most sites. It has come down a little bit. The worry with him was the fact that he had withdrawn from an event, and then the event after that finished 80th. But I love the fact that he finished 11th in his last event. Prior to that, had 2 top 10 finishes as well prior to his withdrawal. So if that's behind him, these are very good odds that we were getting on him. Course history-wise, 19th and 11th in his last 2 starts here. Miscut as well, but course experience-wise, love that. He's the top 10 stat fit. Overall, that is a player that I still like for an outright bet. And then from there, guys, we'll see I'm on Alex Smalley as well. Okay, Hayden Springer and Jackson Suber. Let's just talk about those 3. Obviously, I'm chasing more long shot bets with those 3. And so I wanted to start with Suber. So he is someone that, if you look at maybe when Cameron Champ won and when Matthew Wolff won, I feel like he fits into that category of a little bit of random winners that showed some upside that they could potentially win an event like this when they get going. And that's basically due to the fact they finished 7th at the Barracuda, but also 6th at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Overall, throughout this Midwest swing, he's been playing pretty darn good. That bodes well for him. Okay. And on top of that, he's not a terrible stat fit, 35th in the field. Like, we like that there from him. Doesn't have any course experience here. It is random, don't get me wrong, but like on a site like Bet Online where you can get him at 150 to 1, even at 125 to 1, I think that's kind of worth a look there. I think that's a good line to be chasing there, considering the event that we have where it does promote a little bit more randomness. Then from there, Alex Smalley. Okay, Alex Smalley is someone that, has had some pretty darn random recent form, a little bit hit or miss. We see Myrtle Beach Classic finished 5th there, and then the Rocket Mortgage Classic 13th, miscut, and then 34th at the Scottish Open. It definitely random. Like, you would have thought that at the John Deere Classic would have had a really good week. Played well at the PGA Championship, considering the field. And so if we are getting maybe the upside from Alex Smalley, that's a little bit more intriguing to me. I do think he holds upside. This is where I don't think he's a great DFS play, but outright-wise, I think it makes a lot of sense. Course history-wise, finished 12th at this event last year. He's the 6th best staff in the field, 13th best specialist as well. And again, you can get him at 80 to 1 on Bet Online, and then some of the other sites not as good, guys. 60 to 1 on the American books. So if you are someone that plays on an offshore book, 80 to 1 is much more appealing for him. And same thing here with Hayden Springer, guys. Hayden Springer, though, is someone that, if you guys watch some of my coverage, I like Vince Whaley a decent amount, and I like Sam Stevens a decent amount, mostly due to their form. They've made a lot of cuts in a row. That's what we are chasing with someone like this as well. So Hayden Springer has made 7 straight cuts in a row, although really none of them have been upside finishes, but he has been playing pretty darn well, again, through this Midwest swing. We like that there. Okay, the only good finish that we've really seen from him upside-wise was a top 15 place finish at the ISCO Championship, but we can get him at 125 to 1, 110 to 1 on a lot of sites for a golfer that has made 7 straight cuts in a row, for a golfer that did make the cut at this event last year, and for a golfer that ranks top 10 in the field in birdie or better percentage. Okay, this would be someone that would be more like a Lee Hodges type win, but I'm kind of okay with him continue to play the solid golf that he's been playing and maybe just takes another step. And if he does that, these odds for him just to me seem too long. It's just kind of crazy to me. But again, guys, the theme this week is that we are getting a lot of golfers that you can consider as like potential good bets if you want to get there as well. Like Kevin Yu, Rico Hoy are players that I thought about potentially betting on. Jake Knapp is someone that's interesting. Michael Thorbjornsen is also interesting. Actually, like, there's a ton. Cameron Champ wouldn't be surprising to see win again. There's just a lot of Kevin Roy is obviously someone that I like. Like, there's a lot of names that you could consider, and that's the issue this week. It truly is. So maybe, honestly, Sam Burns, Matt McNeely, and then you're done. So now we're going to go ahead and get into some 3-ball bets. I do really like Matt Wallace to win his group, guys. That's a very solid edge. It's a positive edge for us, matchup odds-wise as well. It gives us about a 38% chance for that matchup. Trey Mullinax as well is another decent one. Matt Wallace as well. John Pack as well. Like, we're getting a lot of decent ones, but the 2 that I like the most personally are these 2, Austin Eckroat and Kurt Kitayama, to win their groups. I do want to call it, guys, that this tool and the next tool I'm going to show you guys are next on the list to be updated from 9to5 Sports to make it a little bit more mobile friendly and honestly to present the data a little bit better as well. I'll show you guys another update that I'm continuously working on it, but I do want to show you guys another update here. But we're going to go ahead and get to the matchup bets, both for the tournament and for the round. So tournament-wise, we're just going to look at BetMGM and DraftKings, those American books. Now we're getting any plus EV spots. I think that's always a good starting point. So this one's actually fascinating, guys. Sam Burns to beat Chris Gotterup on DraftKings -115. That's interesting. So it's a plus edge bet compared to the other books. Taylor Pendrith to beat Max Graceman. That's actually a bet that I really like. I don't really get those odds. So it's a strange one. Kurt Kiyama to win. I guess that one's more of a toss-up. Yeah, just these two would be the two that I would go with, guys, like plus EV edge that we were getting. But let's just go ahead and flip this around to where we're getting 9 to 5 edges as well. Adam Scott to beat Jake Knapp's an interesting one, guys. And that's a bet that I don't mind. Plus 100 there for Adam Scott. Jake Knapp is someone that I do like as well. Don't get me wrong, but I would say that, yeah, those odds should be a little bit closer. And that's really what we're betting on here. And then I also like Alex Smalley to beat Luke Clanton. Now we'll go ahead and jump into some round bets. And so for round one, I do really like Kevin Yu to beat Luke Clanton. That should end up being a solid bet for us. Then we could potentially get to Vince Whaley beating Cameron Champ at -115, but the Kevin Yu one is the one that stands out to me the most. So I did just want to touch on this update that I made to the 9 to 5 custom model. It's still in beta, don't get me wrong, guys. So if you're on the golf tab, go down to custom model beta. That's where this is available. So I did just update one thing slightly. So it's just going to be in regards to the ownerships. Again, I'm still working on updates for this. But let's say someone like Andrew Putnam is someone I want to get to a decent amount. Hayden Springer is a player that I want to get to a decent amount. Sam Stevens is a player I want to get to a decent amount. Like we're just raising up their odds or their exposures. We click run here. And so before it wasn't necessarily fulfilling those as much or prioritizing getting to those players as much. It would elevate them more than what the field was on them ownership wise, because that's what it works off of, guys. So it starts with the projected ownerships to try to match those. And then it goes off of the min exposures and the max exposures, all while being accounting for what their projected fantasy scores are per whatever the custom model data is that you have in there. But obviously this is pulling in us a lot of Sam Burns and McNeely. So let's just cap their exposures at 50%. And if we rerun this, for example, you're going to see that it's meeting those much more. Okay, now I don't know if I necessarily need to get to that much of Chris Goddard, but you guys can see how you can go about using this a little bit more efficiently compared to like the players you want to get to as well. I think that's going to be a pretty awesome update, but at the same time, the tools are always designed based off of the projected fantasy points and designed to give you guys the best lineups. But again, that's something that I was working on. I want to show you guys that to you guys. It is still in beta, so I'm still working on some things there, but how it's looking. And again, going to be updating those 3-ball bet tools, the matchup bet tools as well. That's next on the list there. That's going to do it for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give a like, subscribe to the channel. If you guys would like access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. You guys can get access to all the fantasy golf tools as well as all the prop tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. It's the best value out there for fantasy golf and props betting. I priced it that way for you guys. Take advantage of that. It's pretty crazy just looking at some of the competitors, if you will, that charge like 4 times the amount that I do while offering less and not as good of data. It is very interesting there how that works out. But thank you guys for watching. Good luck with everything this week. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, like the video. Comment your guys' favorite bet as well if you guys have one. But that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.